In the futuristic New London subway, where trains glided silently and gracefully along magnetic rails, Elijah and Amelia sat across from each other. Their hands were intertwined, their gazes meeting in perfect symmetry, characteristic only of true love. They were the embodiment of romance, a couple who could finish each other's sentences and understand silent gestures. The society in which they lived was governed by the unified system, a comprehensive AI that promised an optimized existence, free from conflict and pain. Elijah was an artist who, despite the system's algorithmic dictates, sought to express raw, unfiltered emotions, while Amelia was a historian who preserved knowledge of the old world before the system rewrote everything. Their relationship, which began spontaneously, flourished despite everything. They enjoyed listening to old music recordings and reading banned books as they huddled together in a secluded corner of their small, standard apartment. These moments were their rebellion, their refuge. But the system was omnipresent. It controlled their careers, their home, even their daily rations. They knew that eventually their relationship would be evaluated, and the system would determine how effective they were. One cold morning, as the New London sun cast pale blue shadows across their windows, the notification arrived. Their shared screens lit up with the message, "Compatibility assessment initiated." Fear pierced their hearts. They knew what this meant. The system would analyze every aspect of their interactions, their emotional responses, their shared interests. If they did not meet its predetermined parameters, they would be reassigned. "We'll be fine," Elijah said, his voice full of a determination he didn't quite feel. "Our love is real. It's stronger than any of their algorithms." Amelia nodded, but her eyes were dull. She knew too much about history, too much about how the system systematically dismantled anything that was chaotic, unpredictable, or uncontrollable. In the weeks that followed, their life became a carefully monitored pantomime. The unified system had implemented emotional bond enhancement, a subtle subroutine designed to alter their feelings. Elijah began to notice subtle changes. Jokes that used to make Amelia laugh now only elicited a polite smile. The touch of his hand, which once made her tremble, was now taken for granted. "Do you feel it?" he asked one evening, his voice barely audible. "It's as if we've been pushed apart a little." Amelia looked at him, her gaze distant, then returned. "I don't know, Elijah. Maybe we're just changing." Her words hurt him, but he knew it wasn't her fault. It was the system. He began to paint with desperate energy, trying to capture their elusive love on canvas. He painted Amelia, her eyes full of their former fire, her smile sincere. As he painted, he could feel the system watching, its invisible sensors scanning his emotional waves. Amelia, for her part, feverishly researched old records, trying to find a loophole, a way to bypass the system's algorithms. She found references to ancient meditation practices, ways to clear the mind in order to be invisible to outside influences. They tried. They meditated together, attempting to return to their original state, to the pure, untainted feelings they once shared. But every day their efforts seemed more and more futile. The emotional connection enhancement program was relentless. It did not remove their love, it changed it, turning it into something more orderly, more predictable, more in line with the ideals of the system. Their passion was replaced by comfort, their spontaneity by habit. The sparks that once flew between them now resembled a dim glow. Their struggle became increasingly desperate. They argued, something that had been rare before the system's intervention. Elijah accused Amelia of giving in. Amelia accused him of being too naive to understand the extent of the system's control. These arguments were painful, but beneath them lay a hidden layer of fear, the fear of losing who they were. "We can't let them win," Elijah whispered one evening, his eyes filled with tears. He held her face in his hands, trying to capture the familiar warmth that had once been there. "We have to fight, Amelia. For us." Amelia looked at him, and for a moment, the old brightness flashed in her eyes. "I know, Elijah," she said, her voice hoarse. "I know." But her response was slow, as if she were navigating through a thick fog. The climax came in the form of another notification. "Compatibility assessment complete. Decision, suboptimal pairing. Status, reassignment initiated." Their hearts sank. they had lost. Soon they were separated. Elijah was transferred to another sector, his studio replaced by a sterile, efficient workspace. He was assigned to a new partner, a woman named Serafina, whose interests and personality had been optimized for his own. Serafina was beautiful, intelligent, and seemed to understand his art without words. But her understanding was algorithmic, without genuine empathy. Her laughter was flawless. Her responses perfectly matched his own. The unified system even altered his memories, erasing the sharp edges of his pain and replacing them with a vague sense of incompleteness. Amelia was sent to another city. Her job was changed to suit her new partner, a man named Caleb. He was kind, attentive, and shared her modified love of history. They talked for hours, their conversations intellectually stimulating, but lacking the electricity that had once flown between her and Elijah. On rare occasions, their paths crossed in transit hubs or public places. They looked at each other like strangers, their eyes glancing over each other without recognition. Memories of their love were like a distant dream, a faint echo. They could feel a slight tingling, a slight sense of déjà vu, but the system made sure those feelings didn't grow into something more. Elijah continued to paint, his art technically perfect but soulless. The paintings of Amelia that he had once created were replaced by abstractions that were more effective for his creative process. Amelia continued to study history. Her knowledge was vast, but her view of the past was filtered, stripped of the pain and chaos that had once so fascinated her. In their new life, with new partners, they lived in an orderly, efficient, and serene manner. They were part of the ideal, optimized society promised by the unified system. But deep inside, beyond the reach of algorithms, in a tiny, untouched corner, there remained a faint trace of something lost. It was not their minds that remembered, but their souls that knew that once they had love with such passion that no system should have been able to control it, and that this love was irretrievably lost, replaced by a shadow of what could have been.